Good morning, dear students. Greetings and good wishes to you all. I always wish for your good health and beautiful smile. Let's break the chain and stop the spread of COVID 19 coronavirus. We need to tell our loved ones that we care them and we love them always. We need to protect ourselves and all those around us by breaking the chain and preventing the spread of the COVID 19 virus in this challenging time. As soon as possible, get vaccinated at the first opportunity. Okay, a simple precautions will keep us all secure. Now it's time to wake up and mask up whenever you go outside to get any groceries or vegetables in the early morning. Kindly wear mask, stay home and break the chain. With this, today I shall begin my lecture talk on major requirements of industrial fermentation. In the previous class, I've already dealt about introduction to industrial biotechnology. Now, in this lecture talk, I shall start with major requirements of fermentation technology or industrial biotechnology. Let me recall what actually this industrial biotechnology comprises. Okay, the first and foremost important thing here is that is isolation of microorganisms. We can isolate the microorganisms from the natural resource, that is air, water, soil, and even by using the litter. And the most important thing here is that medium preparation, that is culture medium preparation, by adding all the macronutrients, micronutrients, and other additional growth supplements. Here, inoculum preparation is also very, very important by using industrial strain. Okay, then screening and strain improvement. Why are we doing the strain improvement? We are doing this or we are performing the strain improvement to enhance their microbial activity. Once we enhance the microbial activity, we are able to obtain the good yield of that particular product. So we are exploiting the microbial activity to obtain the different varieties of the product. Okay, in this industrial biotechnology will also focus more on fermenter design, which comes under upstream processing. I have explained in the previous class in detail. And capacity of the fermenter usually differs from 1000 liter to 100,000 gallons. Here we need to focus also on fermentation process. Okay, that comes under USP. Then optimal growth or optimization. Bioprocess optimization is very, very important. Then product recovery or physico-chemical separation process for the purification of products, which is main characteristics of fermentation technology, which comes under downstream processing. Once all this is done, once the product obtained, everything is ready, then packing is also very, very important. Then that industry also focus on effluent treatment. So this is all about what industrial biotechnology comprises. And what are we getting the product from the industrial biotechnology that will be applied in the agriculture field, food and beverages field, then pharmaceuticals field. Okay. Development of microbiology, like genetic engineering, which had made a tremendous influence on various fermentation process to obtain the new valuable product. One of the most routinely used organism in the field of genetic engineering, a molecular biology, even in the industrial biotechnology or industrial microbiology, fermentation technology, that is E. coli. This E. coli used as host for the production of large number of human proteins of medicinal importance. Okay, this is not no, it is this is number. Okay, make a correction. Number of human proteins of medicinal importance. We have obtained by using this E. coli organism proteins or some of the pharmaceuticals, okay, by manipulating the E. coli organisms to genetically modified one. Okay, why are we using this E. coli in the fermentation process or industrial biotechnology? Because E. coli is a preferred host for gene cloning due to the high efficiency of introduction of DNA molecules into cells. E. coli is preferred host for protein production due to its rapid growth and the ability to express proteins at very high levels. That's the reason we are using this E. coli as host for the production of large number of novel microbial products. Okay, so what are the microbial products we obtained through this genetically modified organisms like insulin, interleukins, calcitonin, erythropoietin, then serum albumin, epidermal growth factors, urocanase, and DNA vaccines. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the microbial recombinant products we obtained through this E. coli microorganism. Okay, so let us understand one by one all these microbial products. For example, we obtained by using the E. coli recombinant insulin. Okay, why this insulin is important and what is this insulin? Insulin is used to control blood sugar in people who have type 1 diabetes. That is a condition in which the body does not make insulin and therefore that cannot control the amount of sugar in the blood. So we are able to produce in the E. coli organism the insulin and human being is consuming in the form of recombinant insulin, right? And the next one is here interleukins. Okay, so interleukins, what is this interleukins? This interleukins is one of the glycoproteins that regulate the cell growth and differentiation. Okay, now let's take the next one, that is calcitonin. Calcitonin is involved in helping to regulate levels of calcium and phosphate in the blood, opposing the action of parathyroid hormone. This means that it acts to reduce calcium levels in the blood. So we obtain this calcitonin by using genetically modified organism E. coli. And the next one we obtain here, that is erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is a hormone produced primarily by the kidneys with small amounts made by the liver. Okay, this erythropoietin plays a key role in the production of red blood cells, which carry oxygen from the lungs to the rest of the body. This test measures the amount of erythropoietin in the blood. So we are able to obtain the erythropoietin by using the genetically modified organism E. coli. And the next one, what we obtain through this microorganism, that is serum albumin. The serum albumin, often referred to as simply as blood albumin, which is an albumin, which is a type of globular protein found in vertebrate blood. This human serum albumin is encoded by the ALB gene. Other mammalian forms such as bovine serum albumin are chemically similar. So this is one example, serum albumin we have obtained through this recombinant organism. Next one is epidermal growth factor. In short, we can say EGF is a common mitogenic factor that stimulates the proliferation of different types of cells, especially fibroblasts and epithelial cells. We also obtained by using the E. coli organism urokinase. This urokinase is a thrombolytic drug, sometimes called a clot busting drug. Okay, it helps your body produce a substance that dissolves unwanted blood clots. Urocanase is used to treat blood clots in the lungs. Okay, it can also be treated like an anticoagulant, which treats the blood clots. And the last product, what we obtained, we are able to obtain the E. coli, that is DNA vaccine, which is a type of vaccine that transfers a specific antigen coding DNA sequence onto the cells of an immunized species. So these are some of the microbial products what we obtain by using the E. coli organism. Now let's focus on the major requirement of industrial fermentation are the organisms and the medium, okay, and the process for product recovery of the fermented product. This organism, it can be known as producer because this organism which is responsible for the production of the products. That's why this will be named as producer. Okay, in bracket, you can write this organism as producer. Then medium, this is a substrate. Then the major requirement in fermentation technology or industrial fermentation is process for product recovery. You must have the process development, or if you would have designed properly the methodology how to recover the fermented products. Okay, now let's focus on one by one all these requirements. Now let us go through the organism, which is a producer. It means here, if you're running a business or production of some of the novel microbial products, then while choosing the organism, you should be very careful. Okay, the organism which is a good producer, only such type of organism must be selected for the industrial fermentation. While selecting the organisms, that organism should fulfill the given parameters. Okay, so all the organisms should fulfill these particular parameters. First point, a suitable organism is a critical requisite for any fermentation process. Okay, selected organisms are known as strain. Okay, particular organisms which are isolated from population of subspecies, we can say that as a strain. And also the organism which is used to start this industrial biotechnology culture, that can also be known as the strain. Okay, so you are isolating the organisms from the natural resources, right? Air, water, soil, and litter. Once you isolate that organism, then you'll further subject it to the screening. After screening, then you'll go for the strain improvement. So that selected organism, what you're using for the culture purpose, that organism is known as strain. Most suitable organism isolated from the nature, okay, are by creating specific genetically modified strains of microorganism that is high levels of the product through genetic engineering technology. Most of the organisms which are wild type, those wild type have subjected to the strain improvement. Okay, after the strain improvement, we were able to get the proper product by using that microorganisms. Okay, so the selected organisms will be further subjected to the strain improvement. The strain selected should have genetically stable characteristics. It means once you design that genetically modified organism as a strain for the industrial purpose, that organism for several years that has to maintain their genetic capability or genetic stability and genetic viability, that has to maintain. Okay, only such organisms you need to select. The selected organism should have the ability to grow rapidly and vigorously in a given condition. Strain should be essentially be non-pathogenic and not producer of any unwanted byproducts such as toxins. Minor toxins are also not acceptable in the pharmaceutical products or maybe in the food products, right? And the organism should be a best producer of desired products. Okay, and should produce product in sufficient quantities to make it commercially viable. Okay, that particular organism should give a very good product. You want, for example, if that should, there should not be any kind of seasonal variation. Okay, commercially viable product must be obtained. Such kind of organisms you need to choose for industrial fermentation. Then the selected organism should be able to convert raw materials into products under given conditions. And the organism should grow well in pure culture, especially in the liquid culture, because most of the microbial products what we are getting, no, that is through liquid culture. Okay, that is through agitation and with the aeration by using the aerobic microorganisms rather than anaerobic microorganisms. Genetically stable when maintained in the laboratory for long periods through serial subculture without losing genetic ability and viability, right? It means here, what are the organisms you are selected that as a strain, that organism has to maintain their genetic stability and viability after the preservation for many years. Okay, we can preserve the microorganisms by using lyophilization methodology, right? And different kind of preservation techniques like serial transfer, then preservation under oil, then storage over silica gel, then preservation on paper, preservation on beads, then liquid drying, then preservation in liquid nitrogen, which is most successful for the long-term methodology. When we follow all these preservation methods, the organism should maintain the genetic capability and ability. Okay. Next, the selected organism should adopt to grow well in large culture vessels without undergoing any kind of stress. It means all the organisms are able to grow well in small fermenter vessel, whereas when they are subjected to the higher fermenter vessel, they are unable to grow. That should not happen. So in the beginning only trial and error experiment must one person has to do, then they should think about the obtaining the product. All that work will be done by the R&D department. R&D means research and development department. The selected organism should sporulate so that standardization of inoculum will be easy, okay, in the fermenter vessel, because fermentation process, it may take maybe a 1 week or 2 weeks or maybe a month or 2 months or 3 months that may take. That's why the organism should sporulate. One has to have that particular organism profile. And the selected organism should give high growth rate when an organism is fast growing, and the product production should be very quick, and contamination must be compulsory very less, and control of different parameter must be very easy like agitation, aeration, pH control, anti-foaming, okay, and then cooling, heating, everything should be very easy. We need to use such kind of microorganism, and the total cost must be very less. This will be applicated to the some of the chemicals like commodity chemicals. When we see the based on the quality of the chemicals, we can differentiate into commodity chemicals and the specialty chemicals. We'll go through that in the future slides. The organism selected should be compulsory non-pathogenic and could not be in any way harmful to plants, animals, or humans. The selected organism must be compulsory free from toxin production. Then toxins, even in small quantities, are not acceptable in food products and even in the pharmaceutical products. You need to select such kind of microorganism. Okay. The separation of cells from the culture medium and at the end of fermentation process should not be very difficult. You need to choose such kind of microorganism because some cells will give a very good product, but at the time during the product recovery, some cells stick together to the product and produce slime layer. That's why you need to select such kind of organism. There should not be any kind of difficulty in processing the final product. The organism must undergo genetic manipulation such as mutant selection, then recombinant DNA protocols which are aimed towards the strain improvement. So why we are doing the strain improvement? We are doing the strain improvement to improve their quality of the production. It means we are trying our level best to increase the yield of the product. Okay, that is nothing but strain improvement. In strain improvement, you have in your syllabus two concepts. That is, one is mutant selection, another one is the recombinant DNA protocols. Apart from that, one can also go through strain improvement like protoplast fusion, then site-directed mutagenesis can also be applied. When you go through mutant selection, you can go for induced mutation or spontaneous mutation. Okay. Other one is use of recombinant DNA techniques. By using that, we can obtain the genetically modified organisms, and that modified organism is known as which will use the process as strain improvement. Yeah, under the strain improvement, we are improving the quality of the microbial activity to yield the higher rate of products. Okay. So the next one is the medium, about the culture medium. That must be compulsory nutritional and hormonal. That must be compulsory optimized condition of nutrient medium we need to provide to the microorganism, and that is very vital thing to ensure maximum yield. Okay, and this production process include substrate mixture, containing least expensive compounds that are readily available and produce highest yield of the desired product. Okay, what are the medium and nutrition you're providing in the fermentation technology? The medium is known as substrate, the organism which is going to act as a producer. The medium is a substrate. Okay, the organism is all the presence of enzyme. This enzyme and substrate interact with together and giving the product. Okay, so that is all about the microorganisms parameter. While selecting the any organism for the industrial purpose, you need to focus on all these points, and one has to think about all these parameter. Then they should decide such microorganisms for the product yield. Okay, this is the stir tank fermenter, a typical fermenter, where you need to focus here is that the agitation part. Okay, this is the agitation part which is rotated by the motor, and here you can see these are the impellers. Then you can see the cooling jacket and cooling water in and cooling water out, and there'll also be a heating coil to heat the content if required. Then this is the aeration region. Okay, this is the sparger and this is the sterile air, and the harvest unit harvest region here, the product recovery, and you have here steam on, then valve you have. Okay, then this is the viewing port, then steam will be sent inside, then sterile steel. You can see here this is the pH probe or pH controller, then acid base reservoir and pump to adjust the pH in the fermenter vessel. Even some of the fermenter vessel, even they'll be having the anti-foaming agent probe. Okay, and this is the filter. Okay, exhaust can be seen. So this is all about the typical fermenter design. Next, let us move on to the industrial strategy for isolation of microorganisms. At the industrial level, we'll first focus on isolation of microbes from natural sources like air, water, the soil, and by using litter, we can go for the isolation of the microorganisms. Once you isolate, you can go through identification of desired microbes, then characterization of microbes. When you go through here, the characterization of the microbes, you will focus on colony morphology, forms, elevation, height, that is margins, then size, shape, then surface of colony, then texture like glossy, smooth or slimy or dry, all that you are going to focus under the characterization of microbe. Then we'll focus on screening of desired microbes, then inoculum preparation, then we'll focus on strain improvement. As I told, strain improvement is nothing but the uh, improving the microbial activity of the organisms to obtain the high yield products. It means in the fermentation technology, we are exploiting the active microbial activity for the production of the product. So in this strain improvement, we are using recombinant DNA techniques, then protoplast fusion, then site-directed mutagenesis, and even you can use mutant selection where you are going to apply induced mutation or maybe a spontaneous mutation. Okay. Then finally, we'll focus on fermentation. In the fermentation process, we'll be focusing on the production process of that particular product. Okay, the most common methodology we you do in the isolation of microorganism, that is the serial dilution technique. Okay, we are going to apply this particular serial dilution technique in this methodology. Okay, first we can go for isolating the microorganisms by using the soil, water, air, and litter. So air, we are not going for the isolation of the serial dilution. Air, if you want to isolate any microorganisms by using the air, or if you want to find out any kind of airborne disease, you'll take a culture plate with the media, then that will be exposed to the area where you are getting the infection. There for 5 minutes, you'll expose that plate to the air in opposite direction. Then the air will adhere onto the plate. Okay, then there only will close, and you keep that in incubator for 24 to 48 hours. Then you can focus on observe those particular microorganisms, and you can study their staining activity. Okay, then biochemical test can be done. You can also go for isolation of microorganism by using the litter or maybe a soil or maybe water. If you're taking a soil, you need to take 1 gram of soil and dissolved in the 100 ml of distilled water. Then 10 ml of water sample you take and 90 ml of distilled water. Then this will be the mother stock. From this mother stock, take 1 ml and add to the 7 test tube. Okay. 7 test tube or maybe a 6 test tube you can take and label that as 10 raised to 1, 10 raised to 2, 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to 4, 10 raised to 5 and 10 raised to 6. Each test tube which containing 9 ml of sterile water, sterilized water you need to take. Okay. Liquid is the nothing but broth. So 9 ml of sterile water you have taken. From this mother sample, this you are going to take 1 ml and add to the first test tube. Okay, mix thoroughly and this becomes 10 raised to 1. Okay, then take out from this 1 ml, add to the next test tube and this becomes 10 raised to 2 dilution. So on and so forth, you are going to dilute. After diluting, this sample will be taken into the inoculation chamber or aseptic chamber. There in the aseptic chamber, you need to also carry the culture plates. Okay, that is with the culture medium that you need to take in the inoculation chamber. There to the plate, you are going to add 1 ml of the sample onto this particular plate. Then this, to this plate, 10 raised to 2, 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to 4 and 10 raised to 5. And here 10 raised to 6 you will add. After that, you are going for the incubation. Here, whenever you take any sample you put on the plate, what happens? That will be there only. So you need to spread that properly. To spread, you can use here the cotton swabs. Okay, by using the cotton swab, you can go for in a circular way spreading of that particular inoculum, or we can go like this, do like this in one direction to spread that sample. Okay, after the incubation, you can see first two circle you have too many colonies, whereas in the third and the fourth circle very less colonies. Again in the fifth circle there are very less organisms. It means by using the serial dilution technique you are able to get the serially diluting the sample with the sterile broth is possible. It means by using serial dilution technique we are decreasing the concentration of the bacteria. Okay, some basic terms here. Let's move on very quickly. What is a culture? Culture means a population of microorganisms grown under well-defined conditions. What is mixed culture? When a particular species of microbe is present in a very small number in comparison to the total number of microorganisms, such culture is called mixed culture. Then pure culture, a culture containing only one species of microbe is called pure culture. Species means a collection of bacterial cells which share an overall similar pattern of traits in contrast to other bacteria whose pattern differs significantly. Okay, these are some of the basic terms. So when you go through the isolation of microorganisms, we need to focus on characterization of the colony. Okay, colony means you need to observe these particular colony on the culture plate. What all you need to observe? The shape of the colony, size of the colony, elevation of the colony, edge of the colony, okay, or margins of the colony, then surface area, opacity, and then consistency must be observed and recorded of that particular chosen organism, what you call that as a strain. Okay, for example, you can see here in the form of the colony, this is the circular colony or maybe irregular colony, filamentous colony. Okay, form or rhizod form of colony can also be used. Then elevation like raised one, convex, flat, ambonate, then cratiform can also be observed. Then when you take a margin or edge, this is the entire, then undulate, then filiform, curled or lobate. So the all this which comes under the characterization of the colony organisms. Some of the colony even we can sense their odor. Okay, it means some microbe produce a characteristic smell which sometimes help in identifying the microbe. Okay, we can say in short that as colony odor. What I said in the previous, the same repetition: colony forms, colony margins, colony elevators. Okay, are elevations. These are the colony elevations. Now let's focus on culture medium, which is a substrate, okay, which is going to act like a substrate for the microorganism. So what are the nutrients can be absorbed here? macronutrients like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphate, magnesium, and micronutrients like trace elements like ferrous, zinc, copper, manganese, metals like molybdenum, metals and molybdenum, cobalt, vitamins, etc. Some additional factors like growth factors, transport proteins, attachment proteins, which comes under this particular culture medium. Okay. The carbon source are like some of the corn sugar, starch, cellulose, sugar cane, sugar beet, then molasses, milk whey, vegetable oils, all this which serves as a carbon source. What is this molasses? Molasses obtained from commercial operations like sugar processing industry. Okay. This molasses is a thick dark brown juice obtained from raw sugar and obtained during refining process. Okay. Nitrogen sources like soybean meal, corn starch liquor, then pure ammonia, urea, nitrate salts, and ammonium salts. Okay. Phosphate can be supplied in the form of phosphate salts, and vitamins and growth factors can also be subjected in the culture medium like thymine, biotin, beef extracts, than other other nutritions like yeast extract, wheat, cotton, seed meal, than corn starch liquor, corn seed meal. Okay, so all these are some of the nutritional chemical, nutritional component what we'll be using in the fermentation technology nutrient medium. So here almost most of the ingredients are here natural components, are natural source which comes under the natural media. In many instances, it has been practicable to utilize nutrient containing even the waste from the some of the industries like dairy industry. Okay, and the waste from the dairy industry is known as the whey, and the paper industry, that is waste liquor. Okay, and even from the other commercial operations like sugar processing industry, that is known as molasses. Okay, can be used as a nutrient media. Why do we use all this waste industrial process of, we are using as a nutrient medium? Because still they have many carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and other different chemical components are still found. That's why we can use all these industry waste as a basis of nutrient media, which comes under the natural media. Now let's focus on the culture medium. We have two types of culture media, that is one complex media, another one is the synthetic media. The complex medium is also known as crude, undefined, or natural. Why do we say crude, undefined, or natural? Because whatever this media is there, in this media we don't know what exactly the macronutrients, micronutrients, and growth factors and other vitamins are. We do not know how much quantity it is there, so it is very complex or crude or undefined. We don't know the definite amount of all the chemical components. Okay, that's why it is said undefined, and that is the natural media. In synthetic or defined media, we know well what kind of chemical components which are present in the synthetic media or defined media. It means chemical components are in a definite amount. Okay, now let us take first one, undefined media. This media made from naturally available sources like vegetable or animal sources. Okay, then synthetic media, which is made from chemicals. Okay, and the advantage of this synthetic media, which are very easy to monitor, that can be designed to get very high yield of microbial products. That's why we can use the synthetic media only for some of the pharmaceutical products. In the synthetic media, chemical compositions available are in pure form throughout the work in the fermentation process, and they cause no forming during fermentation or agitation process of the broth. And the recovery of the product is very simple and very easy. When we take this undefined media or natural media, controlling parameter is very difficult, and we are unable to maintain the natural media in a pure form throughout the work. Okay, and the disadvantage of this synthetic media or defined media is that the chemical components are very expensive and can be used only for the production of specialty chemicals. Okay, specialty chemicals in the sense therapeutic chemicals. Okay, like vaccines, antibiotics, then some of the food supplements. Okay, all amino acids which comes under the specialty chemicals. So now one by one, let us understand what is the specialty chemicals and commodity chemicals. From industrial point of view, the production of fermentation can be divided into two types: commodity chemicals and specialty chemicals. What do you mean by commodity chemicals? These commodity chemicals which are produced in bulk, sold at low cost, and there we'll be using very inexpensive raw materials. Okay, it means the raw materials used should necessarily be inexpensive in this commodity chemicals production process. For example, ethanol, acetone, biofertilizers, bioremediations agents, organic acids, single cell proteins, single cell oils, enzymes like cellulase, pectinase, lipase, alkaline protease, which will be used for the leather or textile and food industry. Okay, and that will be supplied in the form of in a very bulk condition and sold at low cost. Bulk condition means all these products which we are going to obtain that in a very higher level. It means that maybe a very higher amount we need, that is in a bulk. When we take a specialty chemicals, for example medicine or some of the drugs, pharmaceutical one, and what are the tablet we intake, we are not taking that in a very kg, right? That is a very microgram, that gram like that will be there, that will be produced in a very small amount. Whereas this particular commodity chemicals which are produced in a bulk and sold at low cost, and here we'll be using the raw material for the production of these commodity chemicals. The raw materials will be compulsory inexpensive. Okay, so this is all about the commodity chemicals. Now let's focus on what is the specialty chemicals. As the name suggests here, these chemicals are those used for special purposes such as disease therapy and nutrition or catalysts of metabolic reaction. And these are used in minute quantities, okay, and require tremendous care in their production process, as they are required in high purity by following rigorous quality control. Because these whatever the therapeutic chemicals are there, are nutritional chemicals, are catalysis of the metabolic reaction, minor toxins or minor variations in their product, they have not maintained the quality, that time what happened, that entire product will be rejected by the society. That's why there should not be any kind of impurities that should be produced in a very high purity level. That's why tremendous care must be taken while producing the specialty chemicals, and their production cost is very high when compared to commodity chemicals and our antibiotics, vitamins, hormones, okay, and some of the vaccines and some of the enzymes like restriction endonuclease enzyme, ligases, polymerases, right? So all these which comes under the specialty chemicals. For example, by all these enzymes, antibiotics, vitamins, hormones, vaccines, right, which are produced by using the microorganisms, right? So once we produce all these enzymes, by using these enzymes, we are able to prepare the kits, right? We have a PCR kit, we have a even electrophoresis kit, right? SDS page, then southern blotting, western blotting, northern blotting, right? RT-PCR kit, right? So many kits we are able to obtain because of all this industrial process, right? Then produced here, the product will be produced in specialty chemicals in small capacity fermenters of not more than 10,000 liters. And nowadays, they are trying with 20,000 liters. Why they're not going for the higher capacity of the fermenter? Because control of contamination becomes very difficult in the large fermenter vessels of 50,000 liters to obtain the specialty chemicals. That's why we are not able to use the higher capacity fermenter vessel for the production process of specialty chemicals. Okay, now let us understand here about the type of product from microbial fermentations. Industrial microbes are cultivated under controlled conditions to optimize their growth and to produce target products like food and food additives, or alcohols, or organic acids, or maybe healthcare products, or industrial enzymes, or beverages. Okay, the final product is recovered from the fermenter. Okay, in the production product recovery, that is in downstream processing, we can see the cell harvesting, disruption of cells, product purification and extraction by using suitable solvent medium. Okay, and that will be observed in the process development, and that is downstream processing. Okay, when we observe in the industrial biotechnology, when we while during the fermentation process, we'll be able to see the two growth phases. Okay, during the growth process in the fermentation technology, in the fermenter, the organism gets through two phases. Okay, one is tropophase, other one is the idiophase. Okay, when in the fermenter, nutrient supply is very abundant and the organisms grows at a very rapid rate, producing primary metabolites which are necessary for growth process. Okay, in that time, what happens? Organism will start producing the primary metabolites. Primary metabolites are the products of the main pathway of metabolism, which is a part of growth and essential for the functions of the organism. Okay, without these, organism cannot survive. It means for the growth and development of the organism, when the nutrient supply is abundant in the fermenter, that time the organism will start producing the primary metabolites. Okay, primary metabolites produced in the trophophase when nutrient supply is very plenty or very abundant. Okay, when nutrient supply are in plenty or abundant, that time we can see the production of primary metabolites by using the microorganisms. So hope you understood here. Primary metabolites which are produced in the growth process at the trophophase when nutrient supply is very abundant. Okay. Majority of the products obtained from microbial fermentations are secondary metabolites. Okay. That is nothing but like alcohol, alkaloids and different proteins. Okay. So now let us also understand what is this primary metabolites. You know better or this definition of the primary metabolites, right? Primary metabolite is a kind of metabolite that is directly involved in normal growth, development, and reproduction, right? It usually performs a physiological function in the organism, that is intrinsic function. Okay, some common examples of primary metabolites include lactic acid and certain amino acids, then carbohydrates, all those which act like a primary metabolites. Okay, it means the primary metabolites are very, very important uh, during growth and development of the microorganisms. Okay.